Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
This the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Program.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 461 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by former heavyweight world title challenger, the main man himself, Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers. Eddie, how you doing this week, sir?
I'm doing great, my man. How about you?
Always good when speaking with you, Eddie. Let's dive straight into the review part of the show. I don't know what you did see of last week and what you didn't see, Eddie, but I want to start here at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino. It was live on DAZN in Las Vegas. Kenny Sims Jr., friend of the show, now 21-2 with a draw. He was able to get former world champion Jonathan Romero to retire on his store at the end of 5 rounds. He didn't come out for the 6th. Romero was having his 40th pro contest. He's now 35-5. A good win there for Kenny Sims, though I don't think I expected it to go that many rounds because I did see Albert Bell absolutely, destroy Romero in what I think was like 1 round. So, I expected Kenny Sims to get to him a bit sooner than that, but credit to Romero, he turned up and tried to give it a good go, to be honest with you. Also on the card, I think she's now 42 years of age, but she picked up win number 38. She's got 2 losses and a draw. Cecilia Brackhouse, now the WBC interim world super welterweight champion. It was a fight here against Maricela Cornejo, now 19-7. Cornejo down in the 4th, but in the end a unanimous decision over 10-2s for Brackhouse there. Good performance from Brackhouse, to be completely honest with you. I did say on last week's show I felt it could have been a tough fight, and the odds suggested that in the end Cornejo was not a big underdog. It was very, very close with the bookies, and credit to Brackhouse there for looking good. Also on the card, Gabriela Fundora, now 14-0, a unanimous decision, a one-sided bludgeoning really over 10-2s against Daniela Asenjo, now 16-4 with 3 draws. That one was for the IBF flyweight world title. A successful defense for Fundora. She looked really, really good putting those shots together, and I felt that Asenjo's corner were very, very brave. I think it may have been her husband or boyfriend in the corner, kept sending her out. She was taking a real pummeling as the rounds were going on, and it's one of those fights where you've got to kind of say this woman was lucky that it was just 2-minute rounds, because things were not looking good. She was taking a real beating. And the main event, Virgil Ortiz Jr., now 22-0, a majority decision over 12 rounds against Serhii Boachuk, now 24-2. It was for the WBC interim super welterweight world title. Ortiz down in the first round. It took him, I think, 3 rounds to actually score that a knockdown, because obviously he was down and the referee said it was a slip and it wasn't ruled a knockdown. But then, because it was in Las Vegas, they actually went to the video camera, and it took the commission a few rounds to actually say, yeah, that should have been a knockdown. So they went back, had to cross out their scores for the first round and obviously score it a 10-8 in favour of Boachuk. Ortiz also, both his gloves were down, like I say, in round 8. They touched down just for a second. Again, I think it was more of a balance thing. I think both the knockdowns were obviously extreme flash knockdowns. And it made for a close fight, probably because of those factors there. But for me, I did feel like Virgil Ortiz won the fight. I specifically remember him ending rounds quite well, and I just felt to myself, who won the last 30 seconds of that round? It was Ortiz, and of course those last 30 seconds of a round stick in a judge's mind. Boachuk felt hard done by. There were some people that felt he did win the fight. There's no doubt about it. He certainly came to fight, certainly came to win. And that power's real, like I say. I said it before the fight. I felt that he was probably the more heavy-handed fighter. I was quite surprised as well with Bohachuk's, chin. I think he showed a great chin in there. Obviously, we've seen him get stopped before against, someone who doesn't punch as hard as Virgil Ortiz. So I was expecting this fight to not go the distance, but I didn't want to completely back Ortiz for the KO because I thought to myself, I know Bohachuk can bang. So my bet was the fight to not go the distance. And I said, you can put your house on it, because if you put your house on it, then you're going to wind up with a house and a half if it lands, or I should say when it lands. I was that confident that there was going to be a knockout here, and of course I was absolutely miles off. No one really looked close to being stopped. I think Ortiz had some big moments late on in the fight, but obviously, it wasn't enough to get anywhere near a stoppage. But yeah, mad fight, Eddie. I'm going to keep it nice and short. I don't want to go in too much into the tactical side of things, but I just want to say lastly, obviously we know that, there was a lot of comparisons and all the rest of it with their career paths with Virgil Ortiz and Jaron Ennis, and a lot of people felt Ennis is better, a lot of people felt Virgil Ortiz is better. I know there's going to be a lot of people now thinking, because that was a close fight, that kind of makes Ennis look better. I hope that people are not thinking that, because that's just a joke if people are actually thinking that. Obviously, Virgil Ortiz has proved in the past as well that he's willing to step in with better opposition than Ennis seems to get in the ring with him, whether that's through fault of his own or what, we don't know. But a close fight against Bohachuk for me doesn't make him any less of a fighter. It just means he's willing to fight, real threats. And Bohachuk is a threat to anyone. We've seen it in the past. At 154, obviously, they're now not even in the same weight class, but there are still people that wanted that fight at one point, and whether or not we're ever going to see it, it's probably not going to end up happening by the looks of things. But yeah, I just wanted to throw it in there. It's a close fight, but for me, it doesn't mean that if they were to fight, this means anything in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, what did you make of it, Eddie? I know that you did see the main event. I don't know if you saw anything on the undercard.
I didn't get a chance to see much of the undercard, if any. I tried to watch it. I was even going to watch it back just to make sure that I was able to see, more of the card than just one. I was starting to watch Sims, but I think I was definitely pressed for time because it was something else that I was doing. So I just said, forget it. I'm going to watch the Ortiz fight. The fight early on, it looked like Ortiz was, going to take over. Obviously, he got caught with the shot. It was like I think it was a little behind the ear, and he went down. I think that was the more legit knockdown than the second one, to be honest. Even though he got caught with a shot on both of them, it was just like you said. It's probably closer to just balance issues, or because I think the second time he got hit with the shot, then threw his shot, but kind of slipped a little bit and went down. But it's not really worth the conversation. I mean, it happened. I still think, and I agree with you, Joe, I still think he won the fight. I don't think there was any danger of him. I didn't think there was any danger of him losing. Obviously, he, the guy can punch, even though he didn't ever look like he was in serious trouble. The guy was a little bit vanilla as far as certain skills. He wasn't really that, sharp or, but he used what he had to have success, and at different times he had some success. I mean, he was landing that straight right hand as the fight wore on. He was catching Ortiz a good bit, and he was starting to build some consistent offense. At first, it just he was not overmatched, but the skill gap was just too big. But then eventually he started to get into the fight a little bit. So, that toughness, that determination, that grit started to make its way into the fight. So, man, all in all, it was a really good fight. It was an excellent fight, kind of like they were saying about what they were saying, fight of the year type stuff. I mean, maybe. It was really interesting. You know what I mean? I think Virgil Ortiz and I was thinking about what you said about, the comparison to Boots and, and Ortiz and how they were, some saying who was better or whatever. I think it like you said, I think if Ortiz has been in it with better competition, and he's having a hard time with certain guys, it's because of the competition. It's because of, it's going to get hard and harder or more difficult as you move up in the ranks. It's not going to get any easier. So to think just because someone else is better just because this person is now moving up and starting to fight name opponents that we know and we've seen fight before and have success, been, championship level guys, it doesn't really mean that they're not on par with the other. You know what I mean? It's just to say the same about Boots. Boots is still obviously capable and extremely high level, even if he hasn't fought that level of competition, because you could see it with the talent. If they were matched up, of course, I'm not saying, I know what you're gonna say, Joe. I'm not saying this because I know the kid or I have anything, because I really don't have anything in it. I'm not, I'm not with them. I don't spend time. I'm just, I just watch it. But from what I see, and it says a bigger upside. That's just all I'm going to say is that it says a bigger upside. There are certain skill advantages and speed, power. I think. I mean, I know Ortiz is a pretty big puncher, supposed to be a big puncher, but I don't. I see it, but I don't. And they're in two different weight classes too. I mean, 54 and 47, to be honest, is not that far off. But I don't know. It would be an interesting fight if they could put it together, but I doubt it will happen. So. All in all, good fight, good card. I probably want to go and check out some of the other fights that were on the card that I missed. But, yeah, good fight, good card. I definitely want to see both guys again if at all possible.
And now moving to the final card of the review part of the show. Again, I don't know if you saw any of this, Eddie. If you did, then you're more than welcome to jump in. It went down on ESPN and also Sky Sports at the Tingley Coliseum in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Over here, Lindolfo Delgado with a split decision win over 10 rounds. He's still undefeated, now 21-0. He took the O away from Brian Flores, now 26-1 with a draw. That one for the vacant WBO Latino super lightweight title. Flores down in the third. Flores had a point deducted for a low blow in the seventh. And yeah, just jumping straight to the main event. What a fight as well. Luis Alberto Lopez now 30-3. He was knocked out in the 10th round, and it was by friend of the show, Angelo Leo, now a two-weight world champion, now 25-1. He's ripped away there the IBF featherweight world title from Luis Alberto Lopez, who seemed to be getting better and better with each fight that went by. He was building the momentum. He looked great. Very unorthodox kind of style, and people were really finding it hard to figure him out. And of all people to figure it out, I didn't think Angelo Leo would be able to do it. So, yeah, I take my hat off to him. A load of credit coming from me here. Angelo Leo was absolutely fantastic. And what a knockout, by the way, because a lot of people were saying the same thing. Fight of the year with Ortiz and Boachuk. Then we turn the channel straight over to ESPN, Sky Sports, and we see probably a short list for knockout of the year. Angelo Leo, I think it was with the left hook, he absolutely iced Luis Lopez. Unbelievable shot, but what a great fight up to that point as well. It wasn't just the knockout, it was a really, really good fight, and Angelo Leo was picking his shots really well. He was drawing Luis Alberto Lopez onto his shots, and he was just landing the more eye-catching shots throughout the fight, and he did seem to cause a lot of issues for Lopez. Lopez looked really frustrated in there. His usual tactics, of just mauling forward weren't working. Angelo Leo was kind of giving him angles, spinning off each way. Sorry, switching which way he'd move. Getting a little bit switched up myself there. But yeah, Angelo Leo, he made it very, very hard for Alberto Lopez to read him. And yeah, like I say, he was the one landing the eye-catching shots, getting the better of the exchanges. for most of the rounds, and obviously the scorecards were very, very close at the point of the stoppage. I think Leo was up on 2 cards, and 1 card was maybe 1 round up for Lopez. So really, really good competitive fight. Wouldn't mind seeing it again. But yeah, massive credit to Angelo Leo. Like I say, he was a bit inactive after losing. I think it was to Stephen Fulton. Yeah, it was Stephen Fulton. And now he's back here and he's picked up another belt. So brilliant stuff for him. Really happy for him. Nice kid. Very dedicated fighter. And yeah, I'm just happy to see him back, man, because this is exactly what his career needed to kind of boost him right back to the top of the tree. And it was unexpected, I have to say. I really felt that Luis Alberto Lopez would have his number. Anyway, I don't think you saw any of that, Eddie. So that is it then for the review part of the show. It's now time to welcome this week's special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the undefeated EBU European lightweight champion. He's from Maidstone. His hands are sometimes made of stone. It is, of course.
Sometimes. Hey, you know what? You said I felt flat and I was waiting for you. I thought, always puts a smile on my face. And now I'm only sometimes made of stone.
It is, of course, Mr. Sam Noakes. Sam, welcome back on the show, my friend.
Oh, thanks for having me, mate.
Always my pleasure. Of course, for people that have listened to this podcast in the past, when Sam's been on, the many times he has been on, he's always been made of stone. He's finally gone the distance. We last spoke back in April, Sam. At that time, you were getting ready to fight Yvan Mendy at York Hall. Obviously, I was ringside for the fight. You went the distance for the first time. But in doing so, you didn't lose a single round on the scorecards. 120, 108 all around. There's probably not many fighters, I was thinking about it today, in the whole world who wouldn't lose a single round to Mendy on any scorecard over 12 whole rounds. There's a lot I'm sure you can take away from that fight, Sam.
Yeah, I think, I know, obviously, the streak was brilliant and it was nice to have that. But I think for the first time, obviously, going the distance, it being over 12 rounds, still having stuff left in the tank, as you say, not losing a round, I think is a good box to tick. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, everyone likes a knockout, but I do think doing it over 12, like rather than say going the distance over 6, it is better to do it over the 12. You know what I mean? It's, as you say, you can't just be like, oh, what's he going to be like down the back end now? Do you know what I mean? Because I've done the full championship rounds.
And not only that, but obviously to go the distance with someone like Yvan Mendy, it's not like it's someone who no one's ever heard of. It's not like it's someone who's not right up there in terms of, you know, it was definitely your biggest step up. And obviously he's never been stopped before. Like there's nothing you can complain about in going the distance with him, really. Yeah, obviously you felt going in, you know, that York Hall ring is quite small. You felt you'd probably get to him at some point. Were you a little bit gutted to lose that 100% KO percentage a tiny bit?
Cool. Yeah, cool so I was. You know, like, it seems I must have tagged him about 2 or 3 times, like, noticeably in the rounds, you know, like where he would have a little wobble or a little stumble, do you know what I mean? But it just seemed to happen that it was like the last 10, 15 seconds of each round. So it just weren't weren't working out for me. I mean, in hindsight, and looking back, probably maybe it went out a little bit more gun-ho in the last round. But, I mean, obviously, you don't want to get injured and you've got to think longevity. But I was a little bit disappointed. Not disappointed as such, but a little bit gutted, you know?
Yeah, no, I understand. But, no, like I said, brilliant win. And you'd be, you know, you'd be hard-pressed to try and find someone in the whole entire world, even at elite level, that would you know, win 120, 108 across all 3. We had your brother Sean on last week's podcast. I know you were obviously at his fight, screaming from the front row the other week. What did you make of his win over Inder Bassi?
Yeah, I think it's a good win. And I think, obviously, before doing the 10-rounder, all he'd done before was 6 rounds. So I think he dealt with that. It was quite a good pace fight, and I think he dealt with the distance quite well, like going the distance. So I think, yeah, and I mean, Inder Bassi's a very tough opponent as well, isn't he? Like, I remember when he got announced, I remember thinking, like, oh, he's going to be in a good fight there. Do you know what I mean? Because I've done some rounds with Inder, and he's a tough man. He's quite awkward with the range, like the range he's got and his height. Do you know what I mean? So I think Sean done really well. Yeah,
I agree. He's on holiday at the minute, isn't he? The lucky bugger.
Yeah, living out, mate. Loving it out there. I bet he's been eating all the gyros and all that out there, mate.
He was telling us about the post-fight tradition, going round mums, ordering a pizza, watching the fights back.
Yeah, no, it's all right. The thing is, it just seems at the minute it'll be like when I've finished and I can have all the pizzas. He's about 3-4 weeks out from a fight, and then when he finishes, I can't even have none anyway. Do you know what I mean? Everyone comes back, everyone's eating, bar me this time, and then the time before it was him.
I heard yours is a barbecue meat feast, Sam. I think.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, yeah, it's funny. So we always used to get that as, like, when we were young. But when you're on such a health kick and you're eating all you've been eating is good food, and you think, right, all I need is a big greasy pizza.
Yeah.
You get that greasy pizza, and it's not the same. It makes you feel worse. It's like McDonald's, like when you're driving back, normally 9 times out of 10 you get out of the venue and it's like midnight, 1 in the morning. The only thing open is a McDonald's, and you think you want it, but you end up eating it, and it fucking makes you feel worse.
That's me, like, most days of the week.
It's the fault of it, yeah? Even when you're eating it, you're like, oh, this is great. And then as soon as you finish, you're just like, mate, why have I done that? Like, there's no need.
I tell you what, I've been there so many times, it's untrue. Moving on, the main reason that you're on, obviously, your next fight's only a few weeks away now. It's come round quick. You'll be back boxing at the York Hall against Italy's Gianluca Ceglia, or Ceglia, however it's pronounced. What do we know about this guy, Sam? You've got a couple of, obviously, common opponents.
Yeah, so he's had a couple good wins. I know he's worked his way up to the mandatory European, like he's mandatory challenger, so in order to face him, obviously to keep the title. So I expect he's going to be tough. He's going to be, sort of similar to Mendy in a way. Do you know what I mean? Maybe not as tough and durable. Well, I hope not anyway. But yeah, I think it's just a good fight at the end of the day. Like, we're training, we ain't no easy feat. I know him and Mendy have boxed, and Mendy beat him, but styles make fights, don't they? So, I mean, obviously, I'm just keeping in the gym, doing what I'm doing, and then hopefully get back on the knockout streak, to be honest.
Yeah, I know that also, this guy, Ceglia, he also boxed Vincenzo Finiello. That's the guy who...
How did he get on? How did he get on with Vincenzo? I didn't see that when I looked down the record.
Yeah, he
must have gone the distance, didn't he?
Yeah, he beat Finiello over 10 rounds. It was quite close fight.
Oh, yeah? Well,
yeah.
Should be nice then.
Because I remember, I'd never forget... Sorry, mate, go on.
Oh, no, because I've looked down his record, but I didn't see Vincenzo on there. He's a nice fella, that Vincenzo,
Yeah, I've never seen anyone get knocked out and then pick you up on their shoulders.
I'll see, what's his name? Foley did it to Pierce O'Leary, didn't he?
Oh, okay.
The only other time I've seen that.
What a sight. Yeah. Whereas before, Sam, obviously, there was a bit of pressure on your shoulders to deliver these knockouts. This will be the first fight, probably without that real pressure, that expectancy. Does that work for you, really and truly, now?
To be honest, I think the thing is, I always want a knockout. I just think that's just how I am. So it's never not in my head. Do you know what I mean? And I think it takes it away that the thing is that you ain't got to keep the streak going, but I still want it just as much. Do you know what I mean? The hunger for that stoppage is not gone. It's like the streak's sort of gone now, and it's how many is he going to get now? Just got to rebuild and go again. Hopefully get another 13. That'd be nice.
There we go. And I tell you what, I wouldn't want to bet against it, Sam. You're the man that can deliver it. Just before we wrap things up, we've flown through things quite quickly. If you've got any closing words for the listeners, Sam, take it away, my man.
Yeah, just the same as always. Thanks for listening and supporting, and tune in on the 6th of September.
There we go. Don't miss it. Sam, as always, my friend, the pleasure's mine. Thanks so much for your time. Best of luck in this fight, and we'll speak again soon, my friend.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. There's usually news, but there's nothing this week, unfortunately, so we move straight on to the preview part in what looks like probably one of the shortest podcasts we'd have done all year long. The interview wasn't too long, part 1 wasn't too long, and this part is going to be even quicker, I think, because there's not too much to preview. But moving on with it, we're going to start here Saturday night at the Centre Videotron in Quebec City, Canada. This one's going to be live on ESPN and Sky Sports in the UK. There's a couple of names on the card. You've got obviously Jahi Tucker on the card. You've got Abdullah Mason, 14-0 on the card against Mike O'Han Jr., 19-2. That one should be interesting over 8 rounds. Abdullah Mason still only 20 years of age, 12 KOs to his name. He's a special fighter. This is what I think is going to be a really, really fun fight between two heavyweights. You've got Arslanbek Makhmudov, 19-1, coming off that comeback win against Miljan Rovkanin last time out. He came back with a bang against Rovkanin in just 2 rounds, but he was coming off a very embarrassing loss to Ajit Kabayel in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. He steps in though with Guido Vianello, 12-2 with 10 KOs. Vianello coming off that very close loss on points to Efia Jagba in what was a really, really good fight. And I tell you what, Vianello showed such a chin in that fight, by the way. Took some big shots off Efia Jagba. That was the one where Efia Jagba decided to start turning southpaw and doing things we'd never seen him do before. But yeah, I'm really happy for this fight to be going ahead, because I think it's a bit of a, I don't want to say crossroads fight, but it's like someone is going down the bottom of the pile and someone is going a little bit closer to the top, because they're both in similar positions. Vianello's obviously got 2 losses. Makhmudov's just got the 1 loss. But the fashion of Makhmudov's loss was really bad, especially the way he was just completely flying through guys, knocking them out in 1 or 2 rounds. He was looking brilliant. And, this loss to Kabayel was really humbling for him. He's a massive unit. He's scary. He's got that twitch where he throws his head around like some kind of bulldozer. And Guido Vianello, obviously, not as tall, not as big as Makhmudov, but can certainly punch. And obviously, coming off that loss to a Jagba, he didn't disgrace himself at all in that fight. I'd say he's in a decent position here. I mean, I think the whole world now knows what you have to do to beat Makhmudov, and it is go to the body. He seemed to not be able to handle body shots at all. It's just a case of, can he get in range, Vianello, without walking onto a massive shot, because that is the thing with Makhmudov. He can certainly bang, no questions asked about that. But yeah, 19-1 Makhmudov against 12-2 with a draw, Guido Vianello. I think it's going to be fun, but once again, Eddie, there's no chance. I know I said it on last week's show, so some people are going to be saying, what are you talking about? You said it and got it wrong last week, but I'm saying it again, and I'm doubling down. This is not going 10 rounds. There's not a chance in hell. This is the heavyweight division. Things are different. I understand I was talking about 2 154-pound fighters last week. They were both big punchers, but there's no way in the world this is going 10. I'm saying it again, and I'm even more confident this week. What do you think, Eddie? Fun heavyweight fight.
Yeah. It's unlikely that it goes the distance, but just like we talked about the fight last week, and I agreed that it was very low level chance that it was going to go the distance, and maybe we could see another one of those crazy situations happen here. But I think with these two guys, it's highly unlikely. But once again, boxing is the theater of the unknown, and anything that you say can't happen typically will happen. So we'll see. Interesting fight. Both guys are bangers, big guys. Vianello was like, his chin did really, really surprise me, and how he was able to take those shots from that big guy. He was taking, multiple shots. So it was like, it really surprised me, but he did well there, and he did the best he could in this situation. I mean, in a losing effort, but it wasn't a terrible performance by any means. So, but this is going to be a whole different kind. Well, I don't want to say a whole different fight. Actually, I thought that fight was going to kind of end up being the way it was, except I thought somebody would get stopped there too. But yeah, interesting fight. All I can say is I'm looking forward to it. It's one of those action-packed things that, is almost guaranteed for a knockout. So, yeah, I just can't wait to see it.
And moving to the main event, another fun fight. Christian Mbili, 27-0, a man that I've been a believer in for a long time. I think he's a tremendous fighter, nailed on to be a future world champion. I do think he's starting to kind of, spend a little bit too much time kind of around like fringe kind of level. I do want to see him pushed on because he is starting to rack up the mileage a little bit. But, 27-0, like I say, 23 KOs. He steps in with Sergei Derevianchenko, Eddie, 15-5, one of the hardest match fighters in boxing history, certainly in recent times. It sounds terrible to say that he's lost 5 of his last 8 fights, but when you consider who they were to, it's Danny Jacobs, it's Gennady Golovkin, it's Jamal Charlo, it's Carlos Adames, and it's Jaime Munguia, and every single one of them went the distance, and every single one of them was a razor close fight that he wound up being on the wrong side of the decision for. He is coming off a win last time out against Vaughan Alexander. He went the distance with the ever so tough Vaughan Alexander. That's also something that Christian and Billy did in the past as well, went the distance with Vaughan Alexander. It's going to be a good fight, I think. I really do. I mean, it always is when it involves Derevianchenko, and if Christian and Billy can get a stoppage here, that would be a mega statement. It's over 10 rounds. Obviously, there's big things waiting for the winner, you'd say. They have to be knocking on the door now. Obviously, it's at super middleweight for the WBC Continental Americas title, whatever that means. But you'd imagine that, the winner's going to get pushed. Obviously, Canelo's still got the belts and stuff, as far as I'm aware, at super middle. And it is the WBC title, who I think have a good relationship with Canelo. So God knows if they're going to get a crack up at him. But anyway, big things pending for the winner of this, you'd have thought, and you're always going to get a good fight when Derevianchenko's involved. Christian and Billy as well, very, very fun fighter to watch, very exciting and aggressive style, and I think these styles are going to gel. I wonder how many more times Derevianchenko can be in a close fight against a top level guy and keep losing on points narrowly. Is he going to lose wide for the first time? Is the punch resistance going to have just gone after all the the hard fights he's been in? I don't want to see that. I think it's a shame. He's going to probably be one of the the sport's biggest underachievers in recent years because of how tough he's been matched. But like I say, he's always value for money, and he'll be going to Canada, giving it a right good go. You can't write him off as well. You cannot write him off. I don't know what else more to say about the fight. I just think it's going to be a good card. I don't know if you want to say anything on that one, Eddie, if you know Christian and Billy too well or not.
I don't know him too well, but I know Derevianchenko, and I know how many fucking tough fights he's been in, and like you said, he's been in every single fight. It's just like, damn, if anyone had bad luck and just been on it, I mean, I guess you could say it's bad luck, but he's made a hell of a bit of money, while he's out there. So it's just not getting the decisions, not getting the wins, even in these fights where he could have easily gotten, with some of these big names. It's just unfortunate. And you would like to see somebody like that finally get the crack at it, like like you would think they deserve, or you would say they deserve. But man, sometimes it just never happens. I mean, look at my situation. You know what I mean? I don't want to put myself in this. I mean, I'm not necessarily where he is, but or did what he did and had the same. Well, I've had a hell of a road, but maybe not quite the same as his. But it's just, sometimes you just don't get the opportunity to. I mean, not say you don't get the opportunity. He got some opportunities, but sometimes you just don't get it. You just can't get over the hump. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but hopefully for him, this fight turns the tide, and he ends up, being on top. Like he been trying to do for I don't know how long now. So yeah, interesting fight. From what I understand about him, Billy's pretty exciting too. So yeah, looking forward to it. Great card.
Yeah, just talking about Derevianchenko as well has reminded me of that really close fight he had with Jaime Munguia, in which he was winning on the scorecards going into the final round, and he ended up getting dropped with a body shot in that final round, which of course lost him the fight. I mean, that is how close the guy has come. Split decision against Danny Jacobs. lost just by a round or two against Gennady Golovkin. Majority against Carlos Adames as well. He's always in tough fights. Moving now to the Windhoek Country Club resort in Namibia. Over here, friend of the show and part-time policeman and pub owner, Mr. Jeremiah Nakafila, 24-4, stepping in the ring with Jeremiah here. That's a funny surname, isn't it? 10-5. All the best to Jeremiah Nakafila in what will be the Battle of the Jeremiahs. Moving now to the final card to mention. It goes down on Saturday as well. It's going to be live on TNT Sport at the York Hall in Bethnal Green, London. I won't be going to this card. I was thinking about it, but I'm not going to end up going to it. But we've got Alois Yumbi, 7-1 on the card. He steps in with the undefeated Oronzo Berardi, who is 8-0. Oronzo Berardi was on a York Hall undercard a while back, and he managed to stop Israel Dufus in like one round. Dufus, I think, went the distance with Chev Clark, and he's a big puncher, but Berardi was able to dispatch of him nice and quick. Alois Yumbi obviously seems to be getting better and better under Ben Davison, but this is a massive step up for him here, and I haven't seen loads of Berardi, but what I've heard, it's good stuff. So I think this could be an interesting fight here for the vacant IBO Continental Cruiserweight title. That's over 10 rounds there. Again, probably won't hear that final bell. Also Denzel Bentley, 19-3 with a draw. He steps in with Derek Osazi, who is 13-1. Bentley coming off that win over Danny Dignam, in which he looked quite good there, managed to stop him in like 2 rounds or something like that. This one's for the WBO International Middleweight title. It's over 10 rounds. Denzel Bentley, the big favourite. Denzel Bentley expected to get the knockout. We'll have to wait and see. I still think there's probably little demons in the back of Denzel Bentley's mind for losing to Nathan Heaney. I still just don't know if he's been able to get over that, because that was a shocking upset loss there for Denzel Bentley. It really did set him back, and he's still kind of on that rebuilding stage at the moment, but he does top the bill here at York Hall, so that's a nice thing for him, for Frank Warren to have given him that opportunity there rather than down the undercard. So all the best to Denzel Bentley. Seems like a nice enough guy. I've never actually spoke to him, but does seem like a good guy. But anyway, that brings the preview part to a close. In part 1 we did the review part, then we welcomed our special guest, Mr. Sam Noakes. We had his brother Sean on last week. It seems like we can't get enough of the Noakeses in this month of August. In part 2 there was no news, but we did do the preview part. The final thing for me to do is to come in with the outro, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Okay, and this wraps up episode 461 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A massive shout out to this week's special guest, one of my absolute favourite fighters to interview in the world, that man being the undefeated European lightweight champion, Mr. Sam Noakes. The biggest thanks of all, though, every single week goes out to the same people, which is you, the listeners. Thanks once again for tuning in. That is about everything now from myself. Enjoy your weekends, people. Stay safe, and we'll see you all again same time next week.